Hello, welcome back. And I think this is going to be the last video on this topic. We were talking about how we can become effective, in the classroom. So these are some tips that I've compiled, and I hope it will be useful, particularly for those of you who are just starting to teach. First of all, create a positive environment in the class. You should be reachable to the students, and that they know that they can come to you to ask questions, to seek your opinions. Don't be too standoffish. A lot of lecturers that I've met tend to do that, and the students feel that they can't ask questions, and particularly the words that they use. Some lecturers tend to get really angry with students, and the students feel that they can't ask questions. So try to avoid this. So what you can do in the first class is just to introduce yourself, tell them your experience as a student, where did you study, what are the things that you like, what are the things that inform the way that you want to conduct the class now, for instance. So be friendly with them, and but not too friendly in the sense that students will take advantage of you. Find out about your students, and also talk to people who have already taught them before. It doesn't hurt to find out from other people, and particularly if there's anyone in the class that needs extra attention. So every now and then we do have students with various kinds of disabilities in the class, and we may need to address that in the class. So ask for tips, ask for things that your colleagues have done with them when they were teaching these students in the class. It's useful. Ask students to write or record a letter of introduction. I think writing is the best. If you can just get people to write about what they what they know, what they do, how do they talk about themselves, and that also gives you an understanding of their little world, that they bring into your classroom. Now we have tools to do this, like for instance I use Flipgrid, and you can ask them to record a video to introduce themselves. So these are the things that can be done to make the class a bit more lively, and you get reactions from other people as well, which I think is quite useful. Begin to learn your students' names. If I remember there was one semester that I was teaching linguistics, and I had 46 CTs in my class. SITI, and it was so difficult to remember all of them. I was teaching a class of 150, and 46 of them were CTs, so it was quite challenging. And I always tell my students, like, make an effort so that I will remember you. So there's going to be a handful that would actually come up and to tell you that, okay, my name is Siti so and so, and I'm from Kluang, for instance, and then they will repeat that over again, so you remember that, oh, this is the city that comes from Kluang. So these are some of the things that they can do and to help you remember who they are. And use icebreakers in the class. If you can't think of one, there's lots and lots and lots of things online that you can use. There's many books as well in the library. If you are keen, you can go and borrow them, and get books from the library to help you even come up with ideas, as to how you want to present your class. Set the course expectations. Discuss what are the objectives of the course. Ask them to talk about what are their expectations of the course, so at least how they are coming in to the course. This sets the tone and also the goals for the course itself. Describe how you propose for them to spend the class time with you. So particularly useful in teaching online. How much time do you want to spend on, say, talking to them online? If you feel that after your first class there's not much questions, then you might want to plan for activities in which the students can participate and actually ask questions through the activities. give advice on how to succeed in your class. I think students appreciate that. How do I get an A in this course? A lot of them will want to know that, but only a handful would actually ask you how to do that. So be truthful with them, and then tell them what are the things that you expect them to be able to do in order to get an A in your class. And if you have time, run a short diagnostic test just to find out how much they know, particularly for those of you who are teaching fact-based courses like science, computation, mathematics. You have to have a certain level of knowledge about things, so you can do a diagnostic test just to find out what are their weaknesses, and so that you can adjust accordingly in your lessons. So I don't think students come into our classrooms with zero knowledge in their head. That's never the case. They've already gone through quite a bit in school. Whether or not they are able to link what they know from previous learning experiences to what they're going to be learning, again, it's up to us as to how we can set up the triggers. You can also ask students to walk through a problem. This is also another thing that you can do to gauge how much your students understand and how able they are in linking what they know. So select words from the course title itself, and give them a way to think of a problem that relates to that keyword, or keywords. It's really up to you, and then from there you use it as a cue to explain the overall thematic issue in the course. What are the things that will be covered? What is the scope of the course itself? You can also come up with, for instance, this is an example, come up with a list of 10 most important events in history that relates to what you're teaching. Okay, and link that to your course scope and course goals. That will make it interesting, because history is made up of stories. So if you're teaching, say, science, talk about how people over the years have been learning about that particular issue, and how this is actually going to be addressed in your course itself. So that makes it a bit more interesting and relatable for the students. You can also use common myth or common observations that you see that show false conclusions, based on the topics that you're going to be teaching in the course, because these are again stories, that students may see on their own, and they don't know why. So making that link to these stories, I think, would be useful for them to sort of set the expectation, like what is it that they're going to be learning in this course, where they can actually understand what are the facts and what are the fiction. So it increases interest, obviously, when it comes with a story. Okay, so a few of you have asked about this teaching in times of crisis and tragedy, and I think this is what we're experiencing right now. Crisis is not just the pandemic. It could be even personal tragedies, like for instance, students who have their parents pass away, or their parents are involved in a gruesome accident. They themselves are involved in tragedy. I remember I had one student who was involved in a car accident with 3 other friends, which left her with so many metal in her leg, and her mom died in that incident as well. So when she came back to continue and finish her studies, she was actually quite broken, not just physically but also emotionally. So these are the things that we had to take care when we are dealing with her, and we gave her more time in exams. We coached her. She had more time outside of the classroom with the instructors. So these are some of the things that we can do, but it has to be I think known at the faculty level, so that the students are properly supported. So think about how you can help. Don't go overboard, but do the best that you can. Help them to cope with the tragic accidents, and if warranted, cancel or postpone the class. If it's something like, for instance, when I was doing my masters in the US, there was one time when there was a gunman on campus and was shooting people, and everybody panicked, and we had to obviously cancel classes. Nobody turned up at the classes because people were too scared. So these are the things that needed to be done. Tragedies could also come in a form of natural phenomenon as well. So for instance, tsunamis, flooding, really bad weather, bad thunderstorms and stuff like that. If you feel that it's going to be endangering the safety, the health and safety of the students, you know what, you can just cancel or postpone or try to find a different way to present the content. So it doesn't have to be strictly lecture all the time, or face-to-face sessions all the time. So when you meet the students in class, acknowledge the tragedy, acknowledge the crisis. Tell them that you understand. Tell them that you know how it feels, to be going through that kind of crisis. Not asking you to be a counselor or anything, but rather at least someone who is approachable and they can ask you questions if they need to. Recognize that some students may need extra effort, so there will be some awkwardness for those of you who may be handling this for the first time. But listen, if you don't know what to do, if you really don't know what to say, at least you listen. Take notes where you can, and talk to someone. In my years teaching in Unimas, I've had students who have gone through suicidal attempts. That is happening quite a lot recently, but this problem has been going on for quite a while. And I remember for the first time when I heard my student was suicidal, that was, I think, in my 3rd year of teaching. And the student was much older than me, and I didn't know what to do. And then but I just listened. I just find out like what are the things that triggered these thoughts, and then I quickly called the campus counselor, and then the counselor brought her to see a psychiatrist, and she was put on medication for a while. It was scary. I'll be honest with you, it was scary. It was I didn't know what to do, and I think that is the worst part ever. Like if it's a mathematical problem, you can solve it. If it's a something a bit more practical, you can solve it. You can find a way to solve it. But when it's emotional, sometimes not all of us are equipped to do it. So don't try to solve everything on your own. There are people around you who may know a bit better than you. So ask help. It's okay to ask help. So when you're discussing the crisis or the tragedy, encourage them to become empathic listeners as well. Jadi it's not just about listening to them, but also teaching them how to be empathetic as well. So this goes both ways. And what to say is open the discussion, acknowledging the different ways as to how people cope. Open and close the class with supportive note. So it's how you sort of balance the what they talk about. Don't use it and you use this sympathy session to take over the whole class. Okay. You acknowledge it, but don't let it take over your whole class. Establish your ground rules for your discussions, and respect. I think this is something that we can inculcate in the way that we teach. Allow for silence. Avoid speculation. Jangan tambah rumors. Oh, I heard that. Oh, I heard this. I heard that. Remember, we are the instructor in the class, so sometimes what we say actually goes a long way. And politely remind them to not monopolize conversations, because there are going to be some stronger personalities in the class who may take over the conversation in the class. So these are some of the things I hope will be useful, and particularly in teaching in the pandemic right now. It's very strange. It's very awkward that we can't see all of the students, their faces and all. But what is it that we can do in order to help ease a little bit, their anxiety and what they're facing right now at home? So I hope that's useful, and I look forward to see you again in class. Thank you.